We now have Manny Malhotra's AHL replacement. And we also have some concerning Vancouver Canucks news in regards to today's newest signing. A new chapter begins, the Abbotsford Canucks tweeted out earlier this afternoon. Ryan Papaioannou is the new head coach of the Abbotsford Canucks. Now, I gotta probably get used to saying that Papaioannou. Papaioannou. Oh man, it's gonna come to me eventually, but the Abby Canucks have themselves a brand new head coach in Papaioannou. He's a really interesting name to be added to the system, 41 years old, out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And he was a guy that spent so long in the Alberta Junior Hockey League as the GM and head coach of the Brooks Bandits. Yeah, that's right. He was both the general manager and the head coach of the team. Talk about wearing multiple hats, and talk about raising some of the best NHL players of the next generation. I say that because Papaioannou was the head coach and GM of a very particular 2016-17 Brooks Bandits team that was led by none other than Cale Makar. So, there obviously were some really good connections that Papaioannou established throughout his AJHL coaching general managing career. He is coming off of a stint in the Wheeling Nailers organization, where he was the head coach of that ECHL team. Now he has gotten the promotion up into the Abbotsford Canucks system and will be starting out his AHL head coaching career. Fits the timeline, and you think about some of the other guys that had been linked to this job opportunity. Ahokas is the other one. We'll get into him a little bit later, and also why this might be seen as a bit concerning for Vancouver. You have the press release that was posted onto the Abby Canucks website that goes out there and talks about Papaioannou and his history. We are very excited to welcome Ryan to the Canucks, as we know this hire will help shape the foundation for the development of our prospects in Abbotsford, said Richard Seeley. Ryan has a unique talent for teaching and relating with players. His preparation, both technically and tactically, has led him to outstanding accomplishments at the junior levels, as well as an impressive first season in the ECHL. His reputation as a communicator and someone who holds individuals and teams to high standards are the exact qualities we are looking for in the leader of our team. Now, it's kind of funny. The article also mentions Cale Makar and the 4 National Junior A championships in 2013, 19, 22, and 23 that Papaioannou was coaching. Look at this record that he had. Oh my gosh. Over 917 regular season games as head coach, Papaioannou posted an outstanding 714, 152, and 51 record, seeing his team reach the 50-win mark 6 times. Holy hell, this guy was a beast. Either that or the Brooks Bandits were just really, really good in the Junior A scene in Alberta. But either way, there are some other conversations that you can talk about when it comes to the Papaioannou acquisition. Rick Dollywall posted this article from the province. I believe this was written by Patrick Johnston. Yes, it was. Patrick Johnston posted this article earlier in the morning. The Canucks wanted a coach for Abbotsford. However, their top choice picked Colorado instead. Jussi Ahokas is a rising star in hockey coaching. The Canucks wanted him, but the offer was weak, and he has moved on. So, obviously, no disrespect to Ryan Papaioannou. He is the new Abbotsford Canucks head coach. He's coming from an AJHL to BCHL to ECHL to AHL path. Meanwhile, when you take a look at Jussi Ahokas and his situation heading into the next few years, he was a head coach in the Finnish Liga, he was a head coach for the Kitchener Rangers in the OHL, and now it was recently announced that Ahokas will be the Colorado Eagles AHL head coach. So, what happened? Why did this guy, whom the Canucks wanted, choose the Colorado Avalanche and their farm team rather than the Vancouver Canucks farm team in Abbotsford? Well, let's go out there and take a look at it. Czech TV's Rick Dhaliwal revealed that Ahokas hadn't just interviewed for the Canucks job. The Finn, in fact, had turned it down. And yes, it was about money. Word is, it was substantially less than what he was already making in the Ontario Hockey League. When I put this, Patrick Johnston, the writer of this article, to a junior hockey source who was well connected to the OHL, they were not surprised. Word is getting around more generally. There are more lucrative places to work in hockey right now than the Canucks. Yeah, I've heard a lot of Canucks, and their new hires are very low, even compared to the OHL, and they're in Canadian dollars too, was the reply. The cost-cutting shouldn't be a surprise, Patrick Johnston said. Part of how the senior team's rebuild was sold to ownership was it would be a way to reduce expenditures, although whether management imagined that it would be going cheap on the coaching staff budget is not known. League sources have told Post Media the Canucks ownership have said they would like to reduce player payroll by up to $20 million, and it bears noting that they are already down $12 million from the end of last season. And when you're in a rebuild, that actually does make sense. As we pointed out earlier this week, rebuilding teams need to hold the line against rushing ahead, overspending on players that they do not need just yet. That is something Steve Yzerman didn't do, and something Jim Benning didn't do either. But you shouldn't be reluctant to spend on player development. This is a crucial time for the organization. If you are focusing on young players, don't you want to invest heavily in the people who are guiding them towards the future? Now this is a really interesting piece of info, that one of the Canucks' primary coaching targets for the AHL team ended up going to Colorado, not because, there's something wrong with the team or there's something wrong with the players or he thinks that he wants to coach Nathan McKinnon. Instead, it's none of that. It's that the Vancouver Canucks are offering these guys less money than they're making otherwise. Jussi Ahokas could have stuck around in the Kitchener Rangers system in the Ontario Hockey League, and he would have been making more than what he would have been making had he signed with the Vancouver Canucks affiliate in Abbotsford. That's bizarre, in my opinion. I mean, just hearing that an NHL team is cheaping out on their hires to such a degree that the Ontario Hockey League is paying more is quite stark, in my opinion. However, of course, you could also note that this is par for the course when you talk about a rebuilding franchise that wants to be saving money. Apparently, the Canucks told ownership that they're going to be reducing the player payroll by $20 million, which has already happened to an extent, but not fully. That changes the way, it seems, management is going to be able to spend money on their hires. If Francesco Aquilini is not allowing Canucks management to spend money on coaches, that certainly fits in with the whole budget boys conversation that's been floating around on social media the past few weeks. This article then talks about Alex Edler, and then it talks about some of the other guys that were appropriate conversation pieces in this discussion. So at the end of the day, Vancouver, they do have their AHL guy. Ryan Papaioannou is the new Abbotsford Canucks head coach, but he isn't the guy that they went to first, it seems. They wanted a Jussi Ahokas, but he said no, because this guy was making more money in the OHL than he would have been making in the AHL with Vancouver's affiliate. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Papaioannou hire. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.